Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well on this wonderful day. Today I'm here to talk about why undocumented immigrants should be allowed to stay in the United States as opposed to being deported back to their home countries. Now, I know that some of you in the audience may be thinking that undocumented immigrants are, more of a liability than an asset to this country and how, that they really don't give anything back, so therefore they should be deported. Well, I'm here today to tell you why undocumented immigrants are assets to this country and how if we were to deport all of them or a significant amount of them, we could have serious economic repercussions. Now, when we think about undocumented immigrants, we naturally think about deportations, right? And I'm sure we've all seen stories on the news of people getting deported, and we may jump to the conclusion that these people are involved in organized crime or violent crime and just wreaking havoc on society. Well, that's not entirely true. According to an EBSCO-Host article published in January of 2019, it stated that 439,000 undocumented immigrants were deported. Of those 439,000 undocumented immigrants that were deported, more than half of them were deported on non-criminal charges. So I want you to think about that for a second. More than half of them were good, law-abiding citizens, not doing anything wrong, yet they were deported. Now, I think an important aspect to talk about when we talk about these people is the fact that they all probably came here to the United States to give their family a better life, and to give themselves a better life, and to escape the violence back in their home countries. And another thing that I wanted to, bring up with you, the audience, that you may not have realized is that undocumented immigrants actually make up a significant amount of manual labor here in this country. And I know what some of you may be thinking at this very moment, that, oh, if we just deport them all or deport a significant amount of them, we can fill American workers in these positions. Wrong. Most Americans are actually way too overqualified to do the jobs that these undocumented immigrants are working. Therefore, they would have no interest in this, right? So if we were to deport all the undocumented immigrants or a significant amount, it would actually hurt our economy in a really, it'd be a huge shock to our economy. Now, I also wanted to talk about the world we live in today. Meaning, we live in a coronavirus world. For the past 8 months, it's been an adjustment for all of us in terms of staying at home, quarantining, basically learning to do everything from home, whether it be school, work, or whatever else you got going on. This pandemic has been hard on all of us, and it's been an adjustment for all. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the phrase during this pandemic, essential worker, right? So, some things I wanted to bring up when it comes to essential workers. According to the U.S. Agricultural Department, more than 50%, so more than half, of all farmers in the U.S. are undocumented. So think about that for a second. More than half of farmers here in the U.S. are undocumented. And according to the League of United Nations for Latin American Citizens, 80% of all workers in the meat industry are undocumented, right? So they're doing jobs that are very essential to our economy right now. So like the meat you buy at grocery stores or a butcher shop, or the fruits and vegetables you buy at grocery stores or farmers market or whatever, right? Chances are the only reason you're able to buy it is because of the work that undocumented immigrants are doing. Another important fact to bring up in this is right now there are 19.8 million immigrants that are working jobs right now that are deemed essential. So if undocumented immigrants make up 80% of meat workers in the meat industry and more than half of all farmers here in the States, imagine how much of that 19.8 million they are making up, right? A significant amount. And you might think that, oh, maybe this information was a little bit before the pandemic, or, oh, maybe it was like at the beginning. No, this information came from a CNN article published in May of 2020. So that was just a few months back. Now, another important topic I think that we need to tackle when we talk about why undocumented immigrants should be allowed to stay here in the United States is the separation of families. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Oh, I've seen this on the news a million times, and you're just going to say the same thing. Actually, no. Although it is sad that children are stuck in cages and are separated from their parents, it's very sad and unfortunate. We are going to be focusing today more on the psychological aspects of the children. Now, according to an EBSCO-Host article that was published in January of 2019, it stated that there are currently 4.1 million undocumented immigrants that have citizen-born children. What this means is these 4.1 million undocumented immigrants had kids that were born here in the United States that makes them a U.S. citizens, but their parents are not citizens. What this article goes on to tell us is that when parents are deported and kids are left alone, they're more likely to engage in criminal-like behavior. And the reason that this is, significant is because imagine if their parents were allowed to stay. If their parents stayed, they maybe don't get involved into a life of crime or engage in criminal-like behaviors and do something with their lives and become something and give back to society, as opposed to going down a criminal's life and, ending up in jail, which, by the way, I'm sure we all know, we have a huge overpopulation problem in prison, right? So not deporting these undocumented immigrants would actually do more good than harm, because these kids would have more of it would be more likely for them to grow up and become something. Now, I've given you guys, the audience, all the reasons as to why undocumented immigrants should be, allowed to stay here in the States. Now, you might be wondering, but what's the solution? What's the solution? How do we, allow them to stay without it being like huge numbers and all that stuff? And, I know what you're all thinking. I'm not going to say, oh, just call your local, congressman or woman, which you can do, and that does help. I'm not saying it doesn't. But we need to donate more to organizations like the Immigration Justice Campaign. On their website, they had some fascinating statistics, right? All detained immigrants, they only 14% of them have lawyers representing them in their cases, right? When undocumented immigrants are detained, have a lawyer present, they are 10 times more likely to win their case and not be deported. So I think it's really important that we help, fund organizations like the Immigration Justice Campaign so that they can hire more attorneys to help these people. By doing this, we can stop mass deportation and things of that nature. Another very important thing I think in terms of solution is we need to create a pathway to citizenship for these people. I think the best way to do this is to create a tiered system. So meaning that undocumented immigrants can either pay a small amount and stay for a short period of time, or pay a larger amount over a longer period of time to where they actually become citizens here in the United States one day. Thank you all, and hope you all have an amazing day.